Hey everyone, you're watching Rooted and Rising, Aging with Intention, and this is a show about aging, healing, and everything in between. My name is Aisha, and I designed this show to talk about my experiences and what it feels like for me to age, get better with time, and do it with intention. So let's get into it. Games, ghosting, swiping, and texting. I mean, endless amounts of texting. With all of this going on, how does anybody meet anybody special nowadays? I just think dating is much more harder now than it's ever been before. But stick with me, and I can offer you some good tips on how to date and date with intention. So, dating is harder than it has ever been before. And I really don't know why that is. With all of this great technology we have out there, we have endless numbers of apps at our convenience to find that special someone. But I've heard time and time again how difficult it is to meet somebody, even with all the swiping. There's so many apps with dating. But I think what those apps do is that they give you too much of a selection. It almost reminds me of being at a buffet and you get to choose anything you want on any given day. So today I might want chicken, and tomorrow I might want beef, and the other day I might want spaghetti. And if I don't want this, and I can choose that. And you're just kind of swiping back and forth. And I think that's what it's come down to sometimes. And there's just too much of a selection, and it makes it much more complicated. It doesn't really have people put forth the effort they need into a relationship to really get to know someone. And it becomes kind of a meat market. So, first of all, technology was designed to make life a little bit more easier when it comes to datings. And so I'm talking about the dating apps. And I think every day a new one pops up. So it really makes it convenient to swipe through and find the right person for you. While there's been a lot of successful stories out there with people finding that special someone, for others, it's just an endless amount of swiping and looking and swiping and moving on and then moving on. And you never quite feel like you've met anybody substantial. It doesn't really make it meaningful to meet anybody when you use so many applications at so many times. So while technology is has made it convenient, it's also made it more complicated, and it really does feel rather superficial. Another thing I noticed is that career and lifestyle choices have made the dating game much more complicated. We live in a society where it really does matter if you make six figures and you bring home a lot of money, and then you want the person to kind of shower you with all of these gifts and take you out and spend truckloads of money on you, and showing your friends on social media all the fantastic things that you've gotten out of this relationship. It really becomes a transactional type of situation. And you don't get an opportunity to get to know the person because you're looking at, hey, what can you bring me, instead of looking at what's on the inside. So it becomes more superficial with dating. I think with also the game playing that's going on is that we don't feel that we're really showing our true, genuine selves. We really don't get a chance to be vulnerable and be open about what we want. We're not really intentional about it. We're not intentional about how we want to go about meeting that right person. And you're oftentimes left feeling bitter and alone and isolated more than ever before. And with all this back and forth dating going on and just kind of things just moving so quickly with dating, numbers are showing that less and less people are getting married and starting families. As a parent, I do want my kids to go meet somebody nice and have a family. But sometimes I feel like, is this ever going to happen? And I think the more things are complicated, the more it does get more difficult. Instead of those little butterflies that we continuously try to chase while we're dating, what's more important is peace, consistency, communication in our relationships. So, how do you set the stage to find that intentional relationship? Well, here are my three tips that you can use to make dating more intentional. So, my first tip is to be intentional with yourself. So, what does that mean? So, what I'm talking about is that sometimes people will come to me in my practice and they'll share that they're going through the process of dating, and they're really trying to keep it light and free and just kind of have fun. And they share the same thing with the person that they meet. But secretly inside, they're really longing for that a long-term committed relationship. But they're not being true to themselves by sharing that not with not only themselves but the other person. So they kind of walk around giving the impression that they're not serious, but in reality, they are often left feeling heartbroken because they really aren't finding the right person because they're not valuing what they truly want for themselves. Being intentional to what you want means really thinking about, what do I really want from this relationship? Again, dating is harder more than ever to really meet the right person. But I think you have to think about it as meeting someone with intention. Next step is to meet with intention. So, how do you meet people? Well, there's the usual, go to the bars and wait for somebody to come up to you and all of that. But how often does that work for people nowadays? I think you can't really meet because everything is so separate. For example, you go to some of the nightclubs and lounges, and everything's kind of in this section. There's a section here and a section there, and everybody's in their designated spot. No, I remember when I was growing up, and I know I sound like an old person or an auntie, but I do remember we would dance with people. And on the dance floor is a time that you talk and get to know each other. And then that kind of extends out and you talk further off the dance floor. Now you don't even get the opportunity to do that because everybody is sitting up in a section somewhere. So how do you actually get a chance to get to know somebody? So going out to the bars and the nightclubs, it doesn't really give you that opportunity to meet someone and really have a conversation and get to know them. While that's still possible, I think it's important to approach this with an open mind and think about other avenues and opportunities. And another thing I've noticed is that, and I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, is that we like to get dressed up and look nice and go out with our girlfriends and have a good time. But sometimes what people have told me is that they get dressed up and they go out with their girlfriends and then they're looking around wondering, is he out here? Is this great guy sitting in this restaurant? Well, I got news for you. They're not going to get dressed up and go sit at these restaurants. We have a son, and I can't remember the last time he put on a suit and sat up in a nice fancy restaurant to go look for his girlfriend. Most of them just don't do that. So if you want to go out and have a good time with your girlfriends, wonderful. But if you're going out specifically to meet a guy, you got to kind of think outside the box too. So what else does that mean? That means meeting them in the places that they go. So they might be on the basketball courts or on the soccer fields or playing some other type of sport. It's okay to go hang out and sit out there and watch a game. You might meet somebody that way. I think also thinking in terms of the professionals out there, when was the last time that you went out to a seminar or a convention and met somebody? And it doesn't even really mean you have to be a part of that convention. For myself, I've gone to conventions and I wasn't even in the field. And I look around and there's a number of single guys there. After the convention, they like to go have dinner or hang out too. So why not go with a couple of girlfriends and go to a convention, learn something new, and then meet somebody? Again, you're thinking outside the box. I think also is that you should let people know that, hey, I'm looking for somebody special. So whether you go to church on a regular basis or you have family members or friends, let them know that you're looking for somebody nice, somebody that's going to meet your expectations from what you're looking for in a person. So they'll keep their eye out for you. Swallow your pride. It's okay to admit that you're single and you want to meet somebody nice. I think that kind of broadens and expands your opportunities to really meet somebody that's going to be special for you. And while the dating apps are great, I think also you should be strategic on the type of dating apps. From what I understand, certain dating apps are for certain things. Some might be just to kind of have a little bit of fun on the side, right? Others might be more serious dating apps. And you might have to invest a little bit of money too. So keep that in mind as you kind of look at dating apps. And finally, after you meet that special one, what comes next? Well, you have to set the intention of the relationship. So, what does that mean? So, you meet that great person, and now you want to kind of play these games. You want to put your mask on and pretend like you're just out here having a good time. You're not going to get serious with anybody. You are your representative. You're not the true person, and you're not being vulnerable. Well, that's not really going to help you because at the end of the day, you're sending a message that I really don't want to be involved in a long term committed relationship. And in fact, you really do. So, like I mentioned before, if you're out just having a nice time and you don't really want to be in that type of relationship, that's great. But in your heart, if you truly want a long term relationship, then set your intention with that person and let them know that while we're having a nice time, my intention is to be in a long term relationship. And if they can't handle that, then guess what? They're going to move out of the way for somebody else to come into that space. instead of blocking that. So being true to really what you want in your heart, you're respecting yourself, you're respecting your values, and you're respecting what's important to you. So remember, dating with intention means you're not dating to fill the void, and you're not dating as some type of performance. That this, in fact, is going to be a little bit of a job. It's going to require you to put some thought into it. It's going to require you to put some effort into it if you're serious about pursuing a long term relationship. So, those are my 3 tips. So, remember, be true to yourself by being the intention. Meet with intention by expanding how you meet your prospective dates. Think outside the box on how to meet them. And set the intention of the relationship by really thinking about what it is you want from this relationship and then communicating this to the other person. Remember, intention is what turns connection into commitment. So if you enjoyed this conversation today and you have any thoughts to share about how you date or how difficult the dating scene has been for you, please put them in the comments below. And if you like this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.